For the last 5 years you've heard Tyrese, he sounded like he's not healed from whatever his situation was with Shorty Doo-Wop.
I need to understand what's going on with Joe Budden's and why I keep catching strays every time anything that happens with me with the Breakfast Club.
Tyrese reacts to Joe Budden calling him bitter. He ain't happy. This is Fresh Hip Hop Opinion with your guy Olize. Don't forget to subscribe. So yeah, Joe Budden was on the Joe Budden podcast, as he does. That's his job. And he was talking about Tyrese, the R&B singer, Mr. Sweet Lady, Mr. Signs of Love Making. And Joe Budden had the nerve to call Tyrese bitter after getting emotional, speaking about his life and his divorce on the Breakfast Club. Check it out.
Gives bitter from Tyrese.
I don't think he's bitter, but I think he's affected by his divorce.
So bitter.
Is that bitter?
Don't necessarily gotta be bitter.
Oh man, I hate when we gotta do this, man. Tyrese came here over a year ago with this same, and that's my man, friend of the show. But for the last 5 years you've heard Tyrese, he sounded like he's not healed from whatever his situation was with Shorty Doo-Wop.
I don't think he's healed.
No, you're right.
And when he speaks about it, there is a undertone of bitterness. If you follow her, you can see how he might go, the misery, rewrite history, doctor. Ooh. I can see how he got caught in a little spin.
Little tailspin.
Yeah.
And I imagine divorce to be bitter. I've never gone through it because I don't know if I'm looking at marriage. Hey, when I'm 70, I mean, holla at me. When I need some aid by the bed.
Yeah, fam. I mean, Joe Budden just does what Joe Budden does. Tyrese, we know he's emotional, and recently he's been talking a lot. Obviously, he's trying to promote his movie and his album, but a man getting emotional? Come on, Joe. It's 2024. We gotta get things off our chest. But speaking about getting things off your chest, Tyrese has responded to Joe Budden, and this is what he had to say. Check it out.
I need to understand what's going on with Joe Budden's and why I keep catching strays every time anything that happens with me with the Breakfast Club. Let's run the clip back, since y'all love running clips back on the pod. As soon as I came on the Joe Budden podcast, I had on a green hat that looked very similar to this. As soon as you ain't gonna come over here talking about all that spiritual, you know what I mean, Jesus and all that with the Breakfast Club. Like, damn, like everything all right? Joe, I actually know you. I know you and I know Melissa Ford. I've done too many turn-ups with Joe Budden. That's my, so I thought. He's also that I thought of all of the people in all of these pods. The last thing I expected was for Joe to do a podcast and start talking about me on the Breakfast Club. Every time I do anything that's got to do with the Breakfast Club, and then attempt to follow the Breakfast Club with Joe, I'm just catching strays. So I'm like, yo, you got a problem with Envy and Charlemagne? Y'all need to address that, bro. Because what the that's got to do with me? And how do I got on your pod, who I just met, who got my back more than I actually know? I'm just gonna say this, Joe, I forgive you. I don't really go at my homies. Even the on your pod was like, yo, after I met Tyrese a couple times, I'm good. I don't want to have that conversation. You kept going. You went as far as calling me bitter. You could have all the influence in the world. You'll never be able to convince me that I'm bitter. Look up the definition of bitter. You'll understand that what I'm feeling and what I'm carrying and what I'm processing is something you've never experienced before, because you've never been married. Probably been engaged a few times. That knee is getting old, Joe. You ain't gonna be able to keep putting that just for men on, covering up that I'm 45. I probably got 2 gray hairs in my goddamn face, and I just do like this with my finger. Boop and boop. You Papa Joe over there, bro. How long you been with your girl? That knee. When you gonna pop that knee? Knee is getting old. You gotta get down on that knee one last time. Only reason I ain't went to that other level in mine is because I'm literally still in the middle of a divorce. This refused it. She let me go, but refused to let me go. I don't know what the f***'s going on. I'm like, damn, we had a prenuptial agreement, which means prior to the nuptials, if you leave me or if I leave you, what you get versus what I get or what I keep, because you ain't come into it with it, but baby hairs. When you leave, what you get out of this has already been established prior to the nuptials. That's what a pre-nuptial is. Joe, I need you to get into your Jay-Z bag. I need you to get into your Rev Run bag. I need you to understand that true wealth is marriage. Go ahead and pop down on that old ass knee and go ahead and take it to that other level. Don't buy no more chains. And you over there calling me bitter, and I couldn't help but notice your ankles out. Your ankles, like, you might have some of the like most moistened ankles of any I've ever known in hip hop. Do you know what it is to be married and divorced? You know what it's like to have a whole situation and then wake up one day and it just goes up in smoke? Joe Buttons, I think you need to sit this one out, bro. I think you need to go on and just leave that alone. Like, bro, listen, you got a pod. You got to do what you got to do. You got to go ahead and keep them views. You got to keep that, you know what I mean, that deli on. Whatever you got going on, getting that money, you got to keep that moving. But, yo, Joe, I think you need to leave this one alone, bro. You don't know nothing about none of this, bro. None of it. You hear me? Do what you do, bro. Keep that energy over there. Drop on that old ass knee. Stop covering up Papa Joe. Okay? Your girl is beautiful, man. She deserves that other level. Don't buy her no more shoes with the matching handbags, Joe. We got that. She's fly. You know, you got some beautiful, beautiful energy happening in your relationship. Joe, it's time to pop the question, bro. Time to put on that grown man. It's time to get some of that Fat Joe energy. It's time to get some of that, you know what I mean? Come on, man. Joe know the formula. Fat Joe. Your man Drink Champs, he know the formula. Everybody going home. If your wife ever left you, them fucking words about bitter never come out your mouth, bro. You in the wrong league right now, Mr. Joe Buttons. Stick to talking about all the things you talk about. This is out your league, sir. You want to look up something? You want to look up something, Joe? Since everybody say, yo, leave Reese alone, man. Leave him out of that, man. Let's not bring him in that. No, man. I met Tyrese a couple times, bro. He good people, man. Like I'm not finna be trying to make a mockery of him crying on the Breakfast Club while saying black man cry. First of all, your whole thing is crazy. Why are you watching the Breakfast Club? Don't you got other episodes coming up? Don't you got other guests you should be prepping for? Joe, leave that alone, bro. I can't talk to 50-year-old single. I can't do it. That ain't never went on Google and looked up those words in the Bible that says, for better, for worse, for sickness and health. Till death do us part. Joe, you ever said those words? Nah. You said I like you. You said I love you. You said I'm in love with you. You said, will you marry me? But you ain't never went to that other level, Joe.
Yeah, fam. Now, Tyrese went on for a long time. I had to cut that down. But he was basically saying how Joe Budden is meant to be his actual friend. They've partied together, spoke, but Budden did not have any sympathy for Tyrese. In fact, Tyrese was saying that he had the least out of all the cast members on the podcast. Other ones were saying, nah, leave Tyrese alone. Budden was like, nah, let's get him. He's bitter. One thing I'll say though about what Tyrese was saying, he was speaking about how terrible his divorce has gone with his ex-partner, how it's taken 4 years, still not concluded. He just wants to move on and get to the next level with his own lady. But at the same time, he's telling Joe Budden to get married. And you can't tell somebody to get married while telling them how bad your divorce is going. You're gonna put them off right there. But it was funny saying that Joe Budden needs to stop using the Just for Men. To be honest, I always see Joe Budden sporting a very grey beard, or grey and black. But he said Joe Budden needs to get on his old knee because he's getting too old, living a life of not being married, and he's almost 50. But to my knowledge, I think Joe Budden and Tyrese are very similar in age. I think they might even be born the same year. But that's what Joe Budden had to say about Tyrese, and that's what Tyrese had to say about Joe Budden. Should Budden have said what he said? If they're friends, maybe not. Bit of a low blow, bit insensitive. And was Tyrese a bit extra, bit dramatic with his response? I wouldn't say so. But there's something in me kind of believes that maybe Joe and Tyrese planned all this just to give Tyrese a bit more promotion for his movie and his album. Maybe I'm just a bit too much of a cynic. But that's just my opinion. I want to know yours. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It's Fresh Hip Hop Opinion. Peace and love.